Robert, thanks for joining.
Thank you, Kurt. It's nice to be here.
Yeah, it's going to be great. So we're talking about technology and stacks.
It's a great name.
It is a great idea. The thing about technology choices is, I think, is sometimes really challenging for a founder because a lot of times they might not be very technical. They might be a non-technical co-founder. Sometimes they are a very technical co-founder. If I'm a non-technical co-founder, like how should I go about making my technology choices, and when should I really start focusing on those?
So you're talking about a founder of like a brand new startup. So I would say you shouldn't probably make your own technology decisions. You should probably find some trusted source. Usually that's not your cousin's hairdresser's boyfriend or something, right?
But they told me that I should use Python.
Oh yeah, and they should use PHP or something.
Yes.
Yeah, no, don't. That's usually a terrible idea. So I would say the two things about technology is one, if you can make any technology decisions as late as humanly possible, right? And the dream there is that future us is always going to be smarter than present us,
Right.
Which hopefully should always be true,
Hopefully.
right? If time moves forward as it has in the past.
It has, yes.
So that's the first thing. And the second thing is finding a trusted person. So a best case scenario would probably be finding a technical co-founder, someone that you trust, somebody that's hopefully done a startup before, somebody who's made products in the past and kind of knows the entire sort of life cycle of how that would work. And the other option, if you can't find that, or if you don't have time, or you just want to get something out the door quickly, and you want to sort of push that decision off, finding an agency that works with startups can be a lot of help.
Yeah, because I think there's a fine line between getting something out the door, but then making something ready to scale. Because I've heard founders say, well, what if this thing really takes off and I've kind of hacked this thing together, and it can't handle that. What's your advice?
So I would say usually if you have scalability problems, it's because you are making decisions about scalability things too early. So I would say if you've done it before, you kind of know where you're going as far as technology, just make decisions that aren't going to hurt you in the long run.
Right.
Don't make decisions to help yourself in the long run, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Most of the time when I've seen things not scale very well, it's because they thought they needed to scale in a certain way, and as it turns out, they didn't.
Right.
They had to scale in a different way.
Right.
So,
and because and we talk about this quite a bit with a lot of our clients is refactoring later on, and a lot of people are very nervous about that idea.
Yep. Yeah, and they shouldn't be, right? Refactoring code is something that you're going to do, right? Heck, moving from one platform to another wouldn't be totally unheard of. Twitter did it like long after they became huge.
Yeah.
So I don't think I would be too worried about the big R word, refactor. You're going to refactor one way or another. So yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about that kind of stuff.
Yeah. On top of that, there is other flip side where if your plan is you have a target acquisition by a certain organization or maybe a certain groups of organization, and you don't want to build something outside of what their platform might be. You want to do some research there, right? If that's part of your strategy, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's the thing with, modern general purpose languages and modern frameworks is they all will work, right? You want to build some kind of application, doing it in Java with Spring, or doing it in Python with Django, or doing it in Ruby with Rails. There's probably not going to be a whole heck of a lot of a difference between one or the other when you're doing development. But if you do want to sell your startup to some Fortune 500 company, maybe you choose Java because Fortune 500 companies use Java.
Yeah.
Or maybe if you're going to sell it to another startup, maybe Ruby is a good choice. So sometimes that can inform it. Sometimes, a lot of times, I would say most commonly, it's like what you're comfortable with.
Yeah.
So if your technical person is a Ruby person, you should probably write it in Ruby. So there's a lot of things that go into that decision, but chances are you can't make a really bad one.
Well,
I would say the only bad decision you can make is take an off-the-shelf product and customize it to what you need. It's usually a horrible idea.
It's going to be a lot more work later, right?
Yeah, and you're going to end up fighting with the thing more than you're going to end up enjoying it.
Actually innovating.
Yeah.
But back to what you said, I think it's really good advice to make technology choices as late as you possibly can.
Yeah.
But it's, I can see the appeal of like way up front trying to like figure out all the geeky techie stuff, right?
Oh yeah, because making decisions feels like progress, right?
Exactly.
I mean, and especially, and I mean that's the thing with a tech startup. The technology feels like it's such an important part of it. And sometimes it really is. If you're doing some kind of AI thing or something, maybe like prototyping out the technology or getting some of that stuff decided early on. But most tech startups, that's not true, right? The technology is, helping a new business process or something like that. Yeah, even things like Uber and stuff. The technology, you wouldn't have to make a lot of that stuff ahead of time. There's a lot of other sort of business decisions to make before then.
Yeah, no, I've talked to founders who do technical companies, and I've even seen some of them have spent 2 years building out the service before they even start on the technology side.
Yeah, and what a waste, right?
Yeah.
Because half the stuff they build is not probably going to be right.
Right.
So
yeah.
So yeah, I mean, there's a million books about this, but doing small iterations, starting simple, like all of that stuff is 100% true.
So let's say I am one of those non-technical founders, and like you mentioned, I should get some advice from some other folks. Where's a good place to start doing that? I'm not a technical person, so I don't run in technical circles.
Sure.
What might be a good plan for me to start getting some advice?
Yeah. So if you are a non-technical person, you don't know a lot of good techies. And again, I'm not saying somebody who knows how to make a web page. I'm saying people that actually build products. If you don't know those people, go and find people that have hired those people before, right? I'll tell you, any founder of any startup probably would take an hour out of their day to give you advice about who to talk to and who to trust and who not to and what approaches to take. So, if you can't go directly to the source, go to somebody who's worked with those people.
Yeah. If there's something you've seen pretty regular, a mistake that somebody makes as they're going through those technical choices, besides making them early rather than later, what's a common thing that you would warn or coach somebody about?
Sure. About the technology choices. So again, I would say probably making choices too early is always a bad idea. I would say that over-engineering is something that happens way too much.
Sure.
And I think the more you over-engineer, the harder it is to work quickly. And I think that's a real problem. And then I think finding the right person and the right partners is just an absolute make or break thing for the technology side of a startup, for sure. And it's hard to do.
Robert, thanks for the time today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Of course. It was fun.